Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Kristen and this is Simply DIY Gardening. I am actually doing my very first video today, and this is going to be a 2025 seed haul for my gardening season in 2025. So I am in zone 6B. I live in Ohio, and I just love it when I can find people who share their zone and particularly lives close to where I live, because it really helps knowing what they're growing, what they're not growing, their trials and their errors. So I really wanted to share that. So let's get started. I did order from a couple companies this year. I'm actually still waiting on my Johnny's order. Something happened. I don't know if it was weather. At the time of recording this is February 3rd, and I probably ordered everything about a week and a half ago. I do really need to get started on my onions, and of course, I ordered my onions from Johnny Seed, and they're not here yet. So they're gonna be, still started pretty early. I usually don't start everything else until March. It'll be perfectly fine. But let's get into what I'm going to be growing this year, and then I will be sprinkling in there things that I will not be growing again this year that I have grown in the past. Okay, the first order that I did was from Renee's Garden. I have loved ordering their seeds from them. They have some of my very favorite hybrids and varieties that I order from them that I don't get anywhere else. My absolute favorite of everything that we grow in our garden is this paprika pepper. So this is a Hungarian pepper. I order this every single year, usually multiple packets. I only ordered one this year because I do still have, I think, 2 full packets. So last year, I will throw footage in here too of like my previous garden from last year at least. And last year we went big on these peppers. I planted a whole bed. The whole bed. I think I had somewhere between 9 and 12 plants. We actually take these peppers, we dry them out. They actually dry on their own, but we do have a dehydrator in this year. We have upgraded our dehydrated to a much bigger one. I actually still have a lot of these peppers that have dried on their own. And what we do is we dry them out, we grind them up, and we make paprika powder. This year so far, since growing season, so probably like July till now, we still have paprika pepper, and I have gifted so much for Christmas. I've just handed it out to our neighbors. So we have definitely made a lot. And at first last year, I was like, I planted way too many plants. Like, this is just overkill. Like, every single day I was processing upwards of probably 30 to 50 peppers a day, and I had like this huge bowl. I just couldn't keep up with it, and I'm like, we made way too much, like way too much. But honestly, we use this paprika powder every single day, and then we gifted a lot, which is one of the things that I really wanted to do. And now we're starting to run out. We're really low, and it scares me because there's absolutely no way that we're going to make it till July with paprika powder. So that was the first one. Another couple, when we go into tomatoes, that I get from Renee's Garden every year is I absolutely love this beefsteak tomato called the Big Beef. It is so good. These tomatoes are ginormous. They produce for weeks and weeks on end. Like, I have never had a problem with them. I planted 2 plants of these last year, and we had more than enough. We were, once again, our goal is to grow enough for us and then enough to share with our neighbors. So I was giving these away. They were delicious. They were juicy. Another one that was new to me last year that I really liked from Renee's Garden was this Italian San Marzano. So we really like San Marzano tomatoes, and I really wanted a San Marzano to try. I planted 3 of these, and let me just tell you, I will show footage. It was insane. It was just insane. Like, these plants got ginormous, and then we had so much wind and rain last year that like they toppled down. They were all over the place, but I eventually just ripped these suckers out of the ground back in like October because they were still producing. And I just, like, once again, in over my head, I was like, I can't do this. I have too many tomatoes. But what we ended up doing with a lot of these tomatoes for the San Marzano is we did, typical salsa. My favorite was we started to make this tomato sauce towards the end of the year, and I'm really excited now to have this recipe so I can use a lot more of these tomatoes. And another one that I started to make is tomato paste. So I got this freezer container and these ice cube trays, and I made these like individual little, probably like tablespoon and a half tomato paste. Another repeat that I bought this year from Renee's Garden that was the first time we grew last year is we love our green beans, and we usually do 2 succession sows of them. We'll do it first thing in the spring, and then afterwards, like once those are all gone, I'll go ahead and I'll plant some new ones. I always buy 2 packets because I actually share these with my parents. I give them a pack and then I take a pack, and we usually combined everything together and we'll can one big load. But this is called the Weekender bean. And what I loved about it this year is, like we tried these last year, but what I loved about them is they can actually stay on the vine longer. It was just nice because they actually did. They stayed on the vine a little bit longer than your normal green bean, and they tasted really amazing, and it kind of gave me some time to catch up with all the other gardening things that were going on, knowing that those green beans would be perfectly fine. Another one that I'll be growing this year that from Renee's Garden, and this is new to me, this is basil. So I do grow basil every year because I kind of mix it in with our tomatoes and peppers, and I just kind of like use it as a filler to help with any bug issues. But I wanted to try this Italian Genovese or something. I'll show you what I did last year actually. So, and I might do more varieties. I might do that variety and then plant this one. So this one is from last year. It's also from Renee's Garden, and it was Italian pesto basil. This one was really, really good. It grew huge. It worked really well. And then the previous year before that, I actually grew this one from Botanical Interest, and it was lemon basil. And let me tell you, it was exactly that. Like when you touched it, it smelled like lemon and it smelled like basil. I just found another stack of Renee's Gardens that I forgot to mention. So some of the other ones that I bought. So I said I wanted to do the San Marzano again because I really like that. But the previous year we actually did a Roma tomato, and those were a lot smaller plants, but they produced just as much tomatoes. So I wanted to try a different Roma this year. I'm gonna do San Marzano, the big beef steak. I'll do like my cherry tomatoes, and then I am going to do a Roma tomato plant at the same time. I'll probably do like 2 of those, but I decided to try this one. It is called Roma Sauce Tomato, I can't even pronounce, but the P word, and I'm gonna try this one. Disease resistant, and it produces heavy harvest all year, all season. So I am gonna try that. The Roma that I had done before, I actually pulled that one out. It was from Botanical Interest, and it was the Supremo bush variety. And this one worked really, really well. We did this one 2 years ago, so I don't have any left, but I didn't actually order from Botanical Interest this year. I started to, and then I think I was just able to get everything I needed from Johnny's and Renee's Garden, and then I did high mowing. Going back to the peppers, last year, what we did, so we have a really nice local farm close to us, and they do the whole 9. They like grow all the food. They are open weekly, like we get our milk and our eggs from them. It's just a small family on their local farm, and it is so fun. It's just a really good community thing. Well, in the spring they do starts, and I have learned that I just get some starts from them, and then I grow the rest of my seeds pretty much. They last year and the year before, we had some of their jalapenos, and I think the first year was like a Jedi jalapeno, and I don't even know what last year was, but those things were ginormous. Like every year that I've gotten tomatoes or jalapeno starts from them, they grow into like trees, like legit trees. So last year I got 2 jalapeno starts from them, and then I actually grew these Renee's classic chili pepper jalapenos, and I planted 2 of these. And then when I talked about redoing our beds a little bit, kind of changing things up, trying to have room for the stuff, I really need some vertical growing space because my kids and me really, really, really badly want to grow some watermelon and melons, like the sugar cube cantaloupe. So I got this one from last year, but it is a mini cantaloupe. It's supposed to be like personal sized cantaloupes. I really, really wanted to grow this last year. It's just like I ran out of room. I had nowhere to put them. My vertical space was taken up from my tamales and my cherry tomatoes like most of every year. So we're gonna try to figure this out. If I don't get to these though, I really, really wanted to try these Mini Love F1 personal size watermelons. They sounded cute, they sounded perfect, so I think it would be a good melon to start with. Okay, so from High Mowing Organic Seed Company, what I bought from them is I did get some Goldie Double sunflowers. So I grew these 2 years ago. That was the first year that I ever grew sunflowers. And then I grew some sunset sunflowers, I think it was, like sunset Aztec sunflowers last year. And they were just small and not really what I was looking for. But these double Goldie sunflowers, the previous year, I mean, they were huge and it was just really, really, really pretty. I loved having them in the garden. They were more so for like the hummingbirds and the redbird and the little like parakeet birds that we get in our garden. Another thing that I want to grow this year that I actually got as a start from the farm I was talking about is oregano. And I'm pretty sure it's probably this exact kind because they're a big supporter of High Mowing Organic Seeds, and it's this Greek oregano. So I actually still have it out there. They say in our zone that it should come back, but I never covered it. I never did anything with it. So it's really kind of up in the air if it's going to come back or not. But one thing that I did a little bit of last year that I wish I did more of, and I will be doing more this year, especially having the bigger dehydrator, is dehydrating oregano. We still have probably like 2 tablespoons worth left from our garden last year, and it is so good. But I really loved it. My plant got actually pretty big. I would be shocked and like really happy if that comes back because we've had a pretty cold and snowy winter here in Ohio. So I don't know how that's going to work out, but we will see. Now, I love this Sweetie cherry tomato. This is like our go-to cherry tomato. We've learned over the years how many to plant, how many not to plant. And let's just say the first year I probably did like 9 of these, and that was absurd. So last year we got down to having just 2 of them, and it is the perfect amount for us and to share a little bit with our neighbors. This is, once again, going back to that farm, this is the cherry tomatoes that they sell, and they're so good. One year we did some kind of like hybrid orange one, and they were okay, but this one is literally like candy. So we went back to this. We're just gonna stick to what we know that we love, and that's this one. Now, my husband is a big pepper person. He loves hot, spicy pepper. I love peppers, but I can go to like jalapeno, I can go poblano, but I do not enjoy ghost pepper and all that other stuff that he does. So every year he does go to Lowe's and he gets one ghost pepper plant. I know that's probably not the most healthiest when it comes to like organic and all that, but he enjoys it, he loves it, he makes sauce out of it, he grounds it up and turns it into powder. He enjoys it, and that's his thing. So this year I actually picked out some other peppers for him. So I got this one, and it's called a Magnum Orange Habanero Hot Pepper. So we're gonna try this. I'm gonna start these for him, and we're gonna have these in the garden just to add to his hot sauce that he makes each year. But let me pull up on my computer, since I don't have my Johnny Seeds order, and I have no clue when it's going to be here. Let me explain what I got from them. Okay, I will try to put pictures up here like on the screen of the Johnny Seeds and what I ordered from them, since you wouldn't be able to see the picture. But I did buy my onions from them. So I've grown onions every single year that I have gardened. I want to say this is like my 4th year, I think. I have like a whole notebook every year. I write down all notes, everything from the seasons past. I draw out my garden so I know where things were planted. And last year was the first year that I didn't do onions from seed. I actually did onion sets, and I don't know if it was the sets or if it was the fact that we had so much rain last year, but they did not do well at all. Like when I ripped them out of the ground, they were rotted, they were nasty, they smelled god awful, but like the stems and stuff looked amazing. So it was just very confusing. I don't know what happened. And the year before that, I did both sets and starters, and we had the best harvest yet. So this year I'm going back to 100% onion seeds. Like, that's how I'm doing it. I'm not going to be doing the onion sets at all, but I am this year for the first time going by like intermediate and long. So this year we're going to go with intermediate and a long day variety because we are on that line here in Ohio where I could do both. So my intermediate ones that I'm going to be doing are called a Calibra F1 OG onion, and it's just a nice yellow onion. And then the long day version that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be trying a red onion. So I will put the picture up here because some of them I can't even pronounce. But those are the only vegetables that I actually ordered from Johnny Seeds. The rest are all flowers. So last year was my first year doing a cut flower garden. And I am going to be doing that again this year, but there's definitely some things that I learned from last year. Last year I put them together way too close. They were way too close. There needed more airflow in there. They ended up getting diseased by a certain time and I had to like pull everything. They did go for very long though. I want to say I had flowers probably up until right before September. But like things like snapdragons, I loved the snapdragons that we had, but they did not last that long at all. And I've heard tons of other people that are like, oh, my snapdragons last until the end of the season. And I'm like, no, mine did not. But I am going to be growing snapdragons this year. So the snapdragons that I'm going to be doing this year, and I'm gonna put up here. This year with the flowers, I am trying to stick with a color scheme a little bit more so than I did last year. Last year was more so like, that's pretty, that's pretty, that's pretty, and like throwing it in the cart and just going with the flow because it was my first year. So this year I wanted to kind of do more of a color scheme. So when I make cut flower bundles for our neighbors and deliver it to them, they look a little more thought out. I wanted to try a different filler. Last year I did some funny little, it starts with a C, but it did have a hard time growing at first. I remember thinking like one of the plants completely died and the other ones were like on their way out, but they made it. I'm going to try Silver Dollar this year. So put the picture here. I think that is really pretty. I've seen those before. They smell really good. So we're going to try that. Other than that, I'm going to be doing tons of zinnias. I was loving the zinnias last year. They were easy, they were nice, they were pretty. They kind of remind me of dahlias, so I figured why not do a whole bunch of those. Now, like I promised, I was going to tell you some things that I will not be growing this year. So some things that we grew last year that didn't do too well was this cauliflower called Amazing Taste. Couldn't even tell you if it tasted good or anything because the plant itself I had to rip out before the actual fruit grew, and I just don't think I'm going to do it again. They grew big, they grew amazing, but then it just got to a point where there started to be eggs and I couldn't keep up with them, and I wasn't about to jeopardize any more of the garden just because of those. So those babies were ripped out. Another thing that we probably won't be growing this year, but it actually did amazing, was from High Mowing Organics. We did the Bastan F1 Poblano pepper. This was actually really good. It grew quite a bit. It felt like two separate sessions, like a whole bunch came in, then it just kind of lived there for a while, and then like 4 weeks later on the same plants, more grew. Now they were poblanos, they gave quite a bit of them, but they were tiny. They were like yay big. Like they were just really small, but they were, and they were actually a little bit spicier than the ones you get from the grocery store. Another thing that we grew last year and that we've grown every single year is a bell pepper. So this is just a red ember F1 pepper. I believe these are the pepper. Oh, nope. These are cayenne peppers. Sorry. These did pretty good, but I won't be growing them again also this year just because I had no major use for them. But back to the bell pepper. I don't know exactly which one I had. I've done a bell pepper every single year. The first year, amazing. We had so many bell peppers, every single color. But last year, and I believe the year before, I don't know. There wasn't really many that grew. The bottoms would get chewed out from some kind of pest before we could even get to it. And I don't know, it just wasn't something that I think I want to spend time on growing this year. Another thing that I am not 100% sure if I'm going to be planting this year or not is a tomatillo. So this was what I did last year. I think it was called a Mexican Tomatillos 2-color Fiesta. They actually were really good. We had 3 plants. They produced a ton. We put them inside of our salsas. But it's like after I made all the salsa that we could possibly eat, I had all these tomatillos and I didn't know what to do with them other than give them to our neighbor. But overall, I don't know that I want to grow them again because I just don't think I use them enough. I don't know. I don't know if they made a difference in my salsa or not. My salsa was pretty dang good this year, which makes me think like I should still grow 2 of them. But once again, we're just gonna have, that's vertical space that I'm gonna have to have. So we're just gonna really have to see what all the plan is for the garden this year. I hope this helped you guys, especially if you're in zone 6B. Hope this kind of like helped you realize or know what grows really well in my area and could grow good in your area. But yeah, it's almost time to start seeds. I'm getting excited and I will be back for another video here soon. Bye.